My name is Cassidy Wells, and I'm 32 years old. I'm standing outside what used to be my penthouse building in Manhattan, and my key won't turn in the lock. The security guard won't look me in the eye. My phone keeps buzzing with texts from my sister Bethany, and each one is more vicious than the last. My parents changed the locks. They sold my home. The penthouse I worked 80-hour weeks to afford. The place I saved for 7 years to buy, gone. My mother's voice echoes in my head from this morning's phone call. Stop being so dramatic, acting like some homeless person begging for scraps. Everything I built, stolen by the people who were supposed to love me. Before we dive into how my family destroyed my life, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if you've ever dealt with family betrayal, hit that like button so I know I'm not alone. Subscribe because this story gets wild. Trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Growing up, there were 2 daughters in the Wells family. There was Bethany, 3 years younger than me, who could do no wrong. Then there was me, the one who apparently existed to make everyone else's life easier. We lived in a modest 3-bedroom house in suburban Ohio. Nothing fancy. Dad worked at an insurance company. Mom was a part-time bookkeeper. Middle class, comfortable enough. But the way they treated us? You'd think we came from 2 different families. Bethany was the pretty one, the charming one, the one who knew exactly how to tilt her head and make her voice go soft when she wanted something. And she always got what she wanted. I was the responsible one. Started working at 15, bagging groceries at the local supermarket. Saved every penny for college because I knew, even then, that nobody was going to hand me anything. Bethany dropped out of college twice. First time, she decided art school wasn't her vibe after 1 semester. $23,000 down the drain. Parents paid it without blinking. Second time, she tried community college for business. Made it 4 months before she said the classes were too early in the morning. I put myself through state university, worked nights at a diner, took out loans, survived on instant ramen and black coffee, graduated with honors in finance. My parents didn't come to my graduation. They were at Bethany's birthday party that weekend. Her 21st. They rented out a whole restaurant. When I called my dad that night, he said, "You understand, right? Bethany needs us more. You're strong. You'll be fine." That became the family motto. Cassidy will be fine. Cassidy can handle it. Cassidy doesn't need anything. I moved to New York City when I was 24. Entry-level analyst position at a financial firm. The salary was terrible, the hours were brutal, and I lived in a studio apartment in Queens with 3 other people. We had 1 bathroom. I showered at 5 in the morning before anyone else woke up. Meanwhile, Bethany was still at home, working part-time at a boutique, finding herself. My parents covered her rent when she finally moved into her own place at 26. A nice 1-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. She posted about it constantly on social media. #blessed. #grateful. Never mentioned who paid for it. I worked like a machine. 80-hour weeks were slow weeks. I learned everything I could, took every opportunity, networked until my face hurt from smiling. Promotions came slowly in finance, but they came. Junior analyst to senior analyst. My salary crept up. I moved into a slightly less terrible apartment, then a studio of my own. Then finally, at 29, a real 1-bedroom. But I wanted more. I wanted proof that I'd made it. Proof that all those years of being invisible, of being told I didn't need anything, were worth it. I found the penthouse when I was 30. 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of Central Park from the living room. It was $2.3 million. Completely insane, completely out of reach. Except I'd been saving for 2 years. Living like I was still broke, investing aggressively, watching my money grow. I had enough for a 20% down payment, $460,000. Money I'd earned through sheer determination and giving up any kind of normal 20s experience. I bought it. My hands shook when I signed the papers. The mortgage was steep, but I could handle it. I'd always been able to handle it. The first night I spent in that penthouse, I sat on the floor of the empty living room and cried. Not sad tears. relief, pride. I did this. Nobody gave it to me. Nobody helped me. I did this myself. My parents visited once. They flew in for a weekend, stayed 2 nights. My mother walked through the rooms with her mouth pursed. It's very modern, she said. Cold. Not homey like Bethany's place. Bethany's place that they paid for. My father stood at the window looking out at Central Park and said, "Must be nice having money to burn." I'd invited them to celebrate with me. Instead, they made me feel guilty for succeeding. They flew home early. Said they missed their own bed. I found out later they stopped in Philadelphia on the way back to visit Bethany. Shed moved there for some guy she met online. They took her shopping, bought her a new laptop. I learned to stop expecting anything from them. But I never stopped wanting them to be proud of me. Just once. That was my first mistake. 3 months before everything fell apart, Bethany called me at 2 in the morning. I was deep asleep, dreaming about spreadsheets probably, and my phone buzzing jolted me awake with my heart racing. Cassidy. Her voice was wrecked, crying, hyperventilating. The whole dramatic performance. I need help. I'm in serious trouble. I sat up, turned on the lamp, tried to shake off the fog. What happened? Are you hurt? I owe people money. Bad people. They're threatening me. My stomach dropped. How much? $180,000. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the number was so absurd I couldn't process it. What? How? The story spilled out between sobs. Online poker. Casino trips to Atlantic City with friends. Sports betting. Shed started small, won a little, got hooked, then she started losing. Borrowed from loan sharks to cover her losses, lost that too, borrowed more. The hole got deeper and deeper. They came to Mom and Dad's house. She said. These men. They were so scary. They said I have 2 weeks or they'll hurt me. Bethany, you need to go to the police. I can't. They'll kill me if I do. Cassidy, please. I need you to loan me the money. I was fully awake now. Loan you $180,000. I'll pay you back. I swear. I'm getting help. I'm done gambling. You need rehab. You need professional help for addiction. I need the money. Her voice went shrill. How can you even hesitate? I'm your sister. I told her I needed to think about it. She called me every name in the book and hung up. 10 minutes later, my father called. Cassidy, your sister told us what's happening. We need you to help her. Dad? She has a gambling addiction. Giving her money won't fix that. She's in danger. Real danger. These people don't play around. Then she should go to the police. And ruin her life? A criminal record. He sounded disgusted with me. We raised you better than this. My mother got on the phone. How can you be so heartless? She's your baby sister. She's 29 years old. She did this to herself. My mother actually gasped like I'd slapped her. I can't believe what you've become. All that money made you cold. They called me 11 more times that night. I stopped answering. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my father. Your mother and I took out a second mortgage on our house. $95,000. It's not enough. We need you to cover the rest. They took out a second mortgage. They were in their early 60s. They'd been planning to retire in a few years, and they just buried themselves in debt for Bethany. I called him back. Dad, you can't do this. You'll lose your house if she doesn't pay you back. She's family. We protect family. What about protecting yourselves? Your future. We have enough. Your mother and I talked about it. We don't need much. I felt sick. She won't pay you back. She'll keep gambling. You don't know that. I do know that. Addicts don't stop until they hit rock bottom. You're enabling her. So you're refusing to help. I took a breath. I'll pay for rehab. A good program. Inpatient for 90 days. I'll cover all of it. She doesn't need rehab. She needs money. Dad, please listen to me. Are you helping your sister or not? Not like this. He hung up without saying goodbye. For 2 weeks, my phone exploded with messages. My mother sent me paragraphs about what a disappointment I was. Bethany sent texts calling me every horrible thing she could think of. Selfish bitch, cold-hearted monster. I hope you choke on your money. My father just stopped speaking to me entirely. I felt guilty. I felt horrible. But I knew I was right. Giving Bethany that money would just delay the inevitable and destroy my own financial security in the process. Then my friend Harper, who works in private investigation, called me. I heard about your sister's situation through the family grapevine. I did some digging. Cassidy, the number's not 180. What? She owes $240,000. She lied to your parents about how much. Probably figured she'd pocket the difference. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. I sent my parents the evidence. Bank statements Harper pulled, screenshots of Bethany's betting accounts, proof that she'd lied. My mother's response. Why are you investigating your own sister? What's wrong with you? Bethany made a mistake. We all make mistakes. That's when I knew. No amount of evidence would change their minds. Bethany would always be the victim. I would always be the villain for not sacrificing myself. I stopped responding to their messages. Blocked Bethany's number. Tried to move on. But they weren't done with me. Not even close. A month of silence passed. I threw myself into work. Tried not to think about my family. Then, one Saturday morning, my father called. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Cassidy. His voice was warm. Friendly. Wrong. I owe you an apology. I sat down on my couch, suspicious. Okay. Your mother and I, we overreacted. We were scared for Bethany. We took it out on you. That wasn't fair. Dad. Let me finish. You were right. Bethany needs help. Real help. She's started going to Gamblers Anonymous. She's seeing a therapist. She's taking it seriously. I wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. That's good. We miss you, honey. Can we come visit? See your place properly? We'd love to spend some time with you. Every instinct screamed this was a trap. But that desperate part of me that still wanted my parents to love me? That part said yes. They flew in the following weekend. With Bethany. I almost canceled when I found out she was coming. But my father promised she wanted to apologize in person. The three of them showed up at my penthouse on a Friday evening. Bethany looked subdued. Tired. She hugged me at the door and whispered, "I'm so sorry for everything." We went to dinner at a nice Italian place in Midtown. My treat, naturally. My parents oohed and ahed over the menu prices. Bethany sat quiet, picking at her pasta. "This place is beautiful," my mother said, looking around at the chandeliers and white tablecloths. "You've done so well for yourself." My father nodded. "We really are proud of you, Cassidy. We don't say it enough. Those words. I'd waited my whole life to hear those words." My eyes got hot and wet. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried for 3 minutes, trying not to ruin my mascara. When I came back, they were looking at me with soft expressions. Bethany reached across and squeezed my hand. "Thank you for giving me another chance." After dinner, we came back to my place. They wanted to see it properly this time. I gave them the tour. Showed them everything. My father asked detailed questions. How much was your down payment? Is the deed just in your name? What's your mortgage situation? I thought he was just curious. Making conversation. Being involved in my life for once. My mother walked through the rooms, touching things gently. "It really is lovely." I was too harsh before. "Can we take some pictures?" Bethany asked. "I want to remember this. Family together again." We took selfies in front of the big windows. My father's arm around my shoulders. My mother smiling at me with actual warmth. Bethany making a silly face. I posted one to social media later. My family visited. So good to reconnect. Before they left, Bethany pulled me aside in the kitchen. "I need to ask you something. I'm starting this intensive outpatient program. It's $5,000 for the whole thing. Insurance doesn't cover it. I hate to ask, but I should have said no. I should have remembered every other time she'd lied to me. But she looked so genuine, so broken. And I wanted to believe people could change. I transferred her the money through Venmo right there. She hugged me tight. You're the best sister. I'm going to make you proud. I promise. They were supposed to fly home Sunday. Instead, my father asked if they could stay a few extra days. Your mother and I never take vacations anymore. We'd love to spend more time in the city. Maybe you could show us around. I actually have a work trip, I said. I'm flying to London Monday morning. Big client meeting. I'll be gone 10 days. Oh. My mother looked disappointed. That's too bad. You know what? I said. Why don't you stay here while I'm gone? Enjoy the city. Use my place as home base. I don't know what possessed me to offer that. Maybe I wanted to prove I trusted them. Maybe I wanted them to see how successful it'd become, to spend time in the life it'd built. Maybe I was just an idiot. Really? My father's eyes lit up. You wouldn't mind? Not at all. I'll leave you the spare keys. My mother kissed my cheek. You're so generous, sweetheart. I left for the airport Monday at 5 in the morning. Hugged my parents goodbye. They were still in their pajamas, drinking coffee in my kitchen. It felt normal. Nice. Like maybe we could be a real family after all. I found out later that Bethany used my $5,000 to place bets on college basketball games. Lost it all in 3 days. And my parents? They waited exactly 12 hours after my flight took off to start destroying my life. The London trip was brutal. Client meetings from 8 in the morning until midnight every day. Conference rooms and presentations and negotiations. I barely slept, lived on espresso and adrenaline. But we closed the deal. $20 million contract. My boss was ecstatic. I was exhausted but riding high. I landed at JFK on a Thursday afternoon, 10 days after Eid left. Took a cab straight from the airport because I couldn't wait to sleep in my own bed. I had that tired, gross feeling you get after international flights. My clothes felt wrong, my skin felt itchy. I just wanted a shower, and my couch and 12 hours of unconsciousness. The cab dropped me off in front of my building. I dragged my suitcase through the lobby, waved at Marcus the security guard. He looked up from his desk, and his face did something weird. Like he'd seen a ghost. Miss Wells, he said, standing up fast. Wait. I need to tell you something. But I was already at the elevator, too tired to chat. Later. Marcus. I'm dead on my feet. I rode up to the 15th floor, walked down the hall to my door, pulled out my keys. The key wouldn't go into the lock. I tried again. Wrong angle maybe. Nope. The key physically would not fit. My brain, foggy from jet lag, couldn't make sense of it. I stood there like an idiot, trying to jam my key into a lock that had been changed. Marcus came running out of the elevator. Miss Wells, please. I tried to call you. Why doesn't my key work? He looked like he wanted to throw up. There's been a situation. New owners took possession on Monday. The words didn't compute. What? Your apartment. It was sold. I actually laughed. That's not possible. I didn't sell my apartment. I was in London. I know. I'm so sorry. I don't understand what happened either. But the management company confirmed it. They had all the paperwork. It was legal. My hands started shaking. Where are my things? They packed everything up, put it in a storage unit, public storage place in Queens. I couldn't breathe right. The hallway tilted. Who bought it? I don't know. It happened so fast. Some lawyer came with the new owners. They had keys, had paperwork. Everything was official. I went down to the building management office. My legs felt like they weren't connected to my body. The manager, a woman named Patricia who I'd always been friendly with, looked at me with pity. I'm so sorry, Miss Wells. We were told you approved the sale. I didn't. I was out of the country. She showed me the paperwork. Sale documents. 2.1 million. Cash buyer. Quick closing. And there, on multiple pages, was my signature. Except it wasn't my signature. It was close. Very close. But the loop on my C was wrong. The tail on my Y was too short. This is forged, I said. My voice sounded far away. Miss Wells, I don't know what to tell you. Our lawyers verified everything. It all seemed legitimate. Who was here? Who did this? She checked her computer. The sellers were represented by a Harold Brennan, attorney out of Philadelphia. The actual people who came to finalize things were, she scrolled, listed as your parents, Richard and Susan Wells. They had power of attorney. The room spun. My parents did this. Where are my things? She wrote down an address. A storage facility in Queens. Unit 317. The bill hasn't been paid, she added quietly. You have 30 days before they auction it off. I don't remember leaving the building. I stood on the sidewalk, my suitcase next to me, and pulled out my phone with shaking hands. My father answered on the first ring. Cheerful. Cassidy, you're back. How was London? You sold my home. My voice cracked. You sold my home. Oh, yes. We did what we had to do. What you had to do. Dad, that's theft. That's fraud. My mother's voice in the background. Stop being so dramatic. How could you do this? I was crying now, standing on a Manhattan sidewalk with people walking past me. That was my home. I worked for 7 years to buy that place, and we raised you for 18 years. My father said calmly. We gave you life. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. You owe us. I don't owe you my home. Bethany needed help. We did what family does. We protected her. By robbing me, we did what we had to do. His voice was cold now. Hard. You refused to help your sister. You left us no choice. My mother grabbed the phone. We took out a second mortgage because of you. Because you were selfish. We needed that money. Bethany needed that money. Mom. That's my home. You forged my signature. That's illegal. Oh, please. You sound like some homeless person begging for scraps. We gave you life. This is the least you could do. In the background, I heard Bethany laughing. Actually laughing. Karma's a bitch. Sis. I was shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I'm calling the police. I'm pressing charges. Do what you need to do, my father said. But you'll lose. We have a lawyer. Everything was done properly. The call ended. I stood there with my dead phone in my hand. Everything I owned was in a storage unit I couldn't afford. My home was gone. My family had stolen it from me and they didn't even feel bad about it. A text came through. My boss. Need to see you tomorrow. 9 a.m. Important. I went to the office the next morning. Hadn't slept. Wore the same clothes from the day before. My boss, Gerald, couldn't look me in the eye. We're putting you on administrative leave, he said. What? Why? This situation with your family. It's messy. It looks bad for the firm. I'm the victim here. I know. And I'm sorry. But we have to protect the company's reputation. Take some time. Sort out your personal issues. We'll revisit in a few months. Translation. They were done with me. The scandal was embarrassing. I left the office. Stood on the street. No home. No job. No family. For the first time in my life, I had nothing. I ended up at a budget hotel in Queens. $89 a night. The room smelled like cigarettes and cleaning chemicals. The wallpaper was peeling near the ceiling. There was a stain on the carpet that I tried not to look at too closely. I sat on the scratchy comforter and stared at the wall. My bank accounts were frozen. Something about the legal investigation into the property sale. I had my credit cards, but I was terrified to use them because I didn't know how long this would last. My emergency fund was accessible, thank God, but it wouldn't last forever. Not in New York. I called a lawyer. 3 lawyers, actually. 2 didn't call me back. The third one, a guy named Richard Chen who had decent reviews, agreed to meet with me. His office was in a strip mall in Flushing. Not exactly the white shoe law firm I'd imagined, but beggars can't be choosers. This is a difficult case, he said after I explained everything. He was maybe 50, tired-looking, coffee stain on his tie. Proving fraud when they had access to your documents, when they're family members, when there's a paper trail showing a legitimate sale, That's an uphill battle. But they forged my signature. Can you prove that definitively? Would a handwriting expert testify? How similar is the forgery? I showed him the documents I'd photographed. He studied them through reading glasses. It's close, he admitted. Very close. That works against you. A judge might say you're misremembering your own signature. My stomach hurt. So I just lose everything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this will take time. Months, maybe over a year. And it'll be expensive. My retainer is $15,000. Total costs? You're looking at minimum $50,000. And that's if we settle. If this goes to trial, double that. I don't have that kind of money right now. He closed the folder. Then, I can't help you. I went back to my hotel room. Lay on the bed. Stared at the ceiling where there was a water stain shaped like a kidney bean. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. Not because I couldn't afford food. Because every time I thought about eating, my throat closed up. I opened social media. A mistake. A huge mistake. Bethany had posted 3 photos in the last week. Designer purse. Expensive dinner at some trendy restaurant with mood lighting and tiny portions on huge plates. New laptop. Latest model. The caption on the dinner photo. New beginning. So blessed. Sometimes the universe provides exactly when you need it most. 200 likes. 50 comments. You deserve it, girl. So happy for you. Living your best life. Nobody asked where the money came from. Nobody questioned it. I clicked through to her profile. More photos. New clothes. Concert tickets. She'd even gotten her hair done at some fancy salon. Posted a before and after. She was spending my money. Money from my home. And she was calling it a blessing from the universe. I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and cracked, but I didn't care. My Aunt Margaret called that night. My dad's younger sister. She was the only decent person in that family. Cassidy. Honey. I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I started crying. Couldn't help it. They stole my home, Aunt Margaret. I know, baby. I know. Your father called me, tried to explain it like it was some noble thing. I told him he'd lost his mind. Everyone else thinks I'm the bad guy. That's because Richard and Susan have always been good at playing victim. Listen to me. You come stay with me. I've got a guest room in Boston. You can stay as long as you need. I need to be here. To fix this. Then let me send you some money. Tide you over. I can't take your money. Cassidy Wells. You stop that right now. You've been taking care of yourself since you were 15 years old. Let someone help you for once. She sent me $5,000. I cried when I saw the Venmo notification. I started researching. Fraud cases. Identity theft. Forgery. Legal precedents. I read for hours in that hotel room, taking notes, building a case even though I had no lawyer. Then, 3 days later, something changed. I got an email from someone named Jules Middleton. Subject line. Your case. Miss Wells. My name is Jules Middleton. I'm an attorney specializing in family fraud and elder financial abuse. I saw the details of your case through the legal network. This is egregious. I want to help. I work on contingency for cases like yours. You don't pay unless we win. Please call me. I called immediately. Jules answered on the second ring. Thank you for calling back. The voice was younger than I expected. Energetic. I've been following cases like yours, and honestly, what your parents did makes me furious. Nobody should get away with that. Why would you work for free? Not for free. For a percentage of what we recover. If we win, I take 30%. If we lose, you owe me nothing. I take cases I believe in. And I believe in yours. Why? Because I watched my grandmother get financially abused by my uncle when I was in law school. Cleaned out her accounts, forged her name on documents, took her house. By the time we figured it out, she had nothing. No lawyer would take the case because she couldn't pay. She died in a nursing home paid for by Medicaid, and my uncle bought a boat with her money. Julie's voice got tight. I became a lawyer to stop people like him. People like your parents. I closed my eyes. When can we start? Tomorrow. I need you to bring me every document you have. Every text message, every email, every bank statement. We're going to bury them. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than despair. Hope. Dangerous, fragile hope. But 2 days later, that hope got crushed. A process server showed up at my hotel room, handed me papers with a sympathetic look. Restraining order, filed by my parents. I read through it with shaking hands. They claimed it'd been threatening them, harassing them. They submitted evidence. Text messages where I'd supposedly said I would destroy them and make them pay. Voice recordings where I was supposedly screaming threats. All fake. Edited. Taken out of context. But the judge granted a temporary restraining order. I couldn't contact them until the hearing in 60 days. Which meant I couldn't talk to them. Couldn't confront them. Couldn't get evidence directly from them. Jules called me after I sent her the restraining order. This is a tactical move. They're isolating you. Making it harder for you to build a case. Can they do that? They just did. I sat on the hotel room floor, back against the bed. Knees pulled up to my chest. I hadn't slept more than 3 hours a night in a week. My hands shook constantly. I kept forgetting to eat and then feeling dizzy. Panic attacks hit me at random times. In the shower. At the bodega buying coffee. On the subway. I thought about giving up. Just walking away. Starting over somewhere else with a new name and forgetting the Wells family ever existed. I thought about darker things too. Standing on subway platforms and imagining what it would feel like to just step forward when the train came. How easy it would be. How the pain would finally stop. But then I'd think about Bethany's smug face. My mother's cold voice calling me a homeless person. My father's justifications. They didn't get to win. They didn't get to steal from me and face no consequences. I wasn't going to give up. I was going to fight. And I was going to make them regret ever thinking I was weak. I stopped crying. Started documenting. Every text message, every email, every bank transaction. I created spreadsheets, timelines. I cross-referenced dates and times. I became obsessed. Jules met with me 3 times a week. We worked in coffee shops, in her tiny office, sometimes in my depressing hotel room. She taught me how to think like a lawyer, how to build an airtight case. We need to prove several things, she said, spreading documents across the table at a Starbucks in Midtown. 1. That you didn't consent to the sale. 2. That they forged your signature. 3. That they used fraud to obtain your property. 4. That they did it intentionally. How? We find their mistakes. Because they made mistakes. Criminals always do, especially when they think they're smarter than everyone else. We found the first mistake in the notary documents. The signature was notarized on a date when I was provably in London. I had time-stamped work emails, security footage from my office building in London, credit card receipts. They notarized a document you physically couldn't have signed. Jules said, grinning. That's fraud. We found the second mistake in the timeline. The power of attorney they claimed to have was dated 2 years ago. But the notary seal was from a notary who didn't get licensed until 8 months ago. Forged power of attorney, Jules said. Even better. Marcus, the security guard, called me one afternoon. Miss Wells, I don't know if this helps, but I saved the security footage from when your parents were here. You did. Something felt off about the whole thing. The way they acted. So I backed up the footage before it got automatically deleted. I've got them on camera meeting with some sketchy-looking guy in a suit. Talking in the lobby, showing him paperwork. Can you send it to me? Already sent it to the email on file. I wanted to hug him through the phone. Marcus, thank you. Why would you do this for me? Because you were always nice to me. You remembered my birthday. You asked about my kids. Those people. His voice hardened. They treated me like furniture. Didn't even look at me when they walked past. People who treat service workers like that? They're capable of anything. The footage showed my parents meeting with Harold Brennan, the lawyer from Philadelphia. Showed them pointing at documents. Showed my father laughing. They weren't stressed. They weren't reluctant. They looked pleased with themselves. I reached out to Harper, my friend who'd helped me before. She did private investigation work, mostly corporate stuff, but she agreed to dig into Bethany's finances. What she found was damning. Your sister's gambling again, Harper said over drinks at a dive bar in Brooklyn. She slid her laptop across to me. Bank statements, betting account records. She's already lost $60,000 in 2 weeks. Jesus. And your parents? That second mortgage they took out? They're 3 months behind on payments. Bank's going to foreclose. So they're desperate enough to go after your retirement accounts next. My blood went cold. What? Harper showed me more documents. Found these in some legal database searches. They're already preparing paperwork to try to access your 401k. Forged documents, same as before. I called Jules immediately. Emergency meeting. We filed an injunction that night. Froze my retirement accounts. Made it legally impossible for anyone to access them without a court order. We stopped them just in time. That's their 6th attempt to steal from you, Jules said. First, the penthouse. Now this. They're not going to stop. Good, I said. Let them keep trying. Every attempt is more evidence. A week later, my former friend Delilah reached out. Through a mutual friend because I'd blocked her everywhere. The message said, Delilah wants to meet. Says she has information. Says she's sorry. I didn't trust it, obviously. But I was desperate for any advantage. We met at a coffee shop in Tribeca. Neutral territory. Public. I got there early. Sat where I could see the door. Delilah looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. Shed lost weight. She sat down across from me. Couldn't make eye contact. Thank you for meeting me, she said quietly. What do you want? To apologize. And to give you this. She slid a thumb drive across the table. Recordings. Of conversations with your parents. Everything they told me about their plan. Why would you record them? Because halfway through I realized what I'd done. How wrong it was. I tried to back out, and they threatened me. Said they'd tell my boss I was stealing from the company. Ruin my reputation. I got scared, and kept recording everything. I picked up the thumb drive. Why help me now? Because I can't sleep. I can't look at myself in the mirror. What they did to you. What I helped them do. It's eating me alive. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were red. I know you'll never forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But maybe this helps. I listened to the recordings that night in my hotel room. My parents' voices. Cold and calculating. She owes us. We gave her everything. Well, take what we deserve. She won't fight back. She never does. Delilah gets $15,000 for the information. Worth it. My mother's laugh. Our daughter thinks she's so smart. She has no idea. They'd planned it for months. Months. While I thought we were reconciling, they were plotting to rob me. I felt sick, but I also felt energized. Jules filed criminal charges the next day. Fraud. Forgery. Identity theft. Grand larceny. We filed civil suits. Recovery of property. Emotional damages. Punitive damages. A local news reporter named Sloan Rivera reached out. She'd seen the court filings. This is an incredible story, she said. Parents stealing their daughter's home to pay for the other daughter's gambling debts? That's news. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I hesitated. Will it help my case? Public pressure? Absolutely. The segment aired on the local NBC affiliate. 6 minutes of Sloan interviewing me, showing the penthouse, explaining what happened. My parents' lawyer had no comment. The segment went viral online. 100,000 views in 2 days. Then 1 million. Comments poured in. This is horrific. Those parents should be in jail. I've dealt with narcissistic parents. This is so familiar. Someone start a legal fund for this woman. Someone did start a legal fund. Not me. Some stranger who watched the video and got angry. Help Cassidy Wells get justice on one of those crowdfunding sites. It raised $75,000 in 1 week. People I'd never met, sending $10, $50, $100. With comments. My parents stole from me too. I believe you. Family abuse is real. Here is $20. Good luck. You deserve justice. Don't give up. I cried reading them. Not sad tears. Grateful tears. Strangers cared more about me than my own family. My old company reached out. Gerald, the boss who'd fired me, left a voicemail. Cassidy, we made a mistake. A big mistake. We'd like you to come back. Better position. Better salary. Well, make a public statement supporting you. Please call me back. I let him sweat for 3 days before I returned the call. I want senior vice president. I want a 20% raise. And I want a public apology from the company on social media. Done. All of it. When can you start? After I finish destroying my parents in court. He actually laughed. Fair enough. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't just surviving. I was winning. And the people who'd tried to break me? They were about to find out what happens when you underestimate Cassidy Wells. The hearing for the restraining order dismissal was on a cold Tuesday in November. I wore my best suit. The one I'd worn to close the London deal. My armor. Jules met me outside the courthouse. Remember, stay calm. Don't react no matter what they say. My parents were already inside. My mother in a conservative dress, hair perfectly styled. My father in a suit that was slightly too big for him. They'd lost weight, good. Bethany sat behind them, chewing gum, scrolling on her phone like she was bored. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Patricia Morrison. She read through the case file with a deepening frown. Mr. and Mrs. Wells, you filed a restraining order against your daughter, claiming harassment and threats, but the evidence provided appears to be edited text messages and out-of-context voice recordings. My father stood. Your Honor, our daughter has become unstable. We feared for our safety. Judge Morrison looked at him over her reading glasses. Unstable because you sold her home without her knowledge or consent. That's a separate civil matter. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it appears you filed this restraining order to prevent your daughter from gathering evidence against you in an ongoing fraud investigation. My mother spoke up. She's been threatening us, Your Honor. Saying terrible things. Jules stood. Your Honor, we have phone records showing my client was blocked by the plaintiffs before these alleged threats occurred. The text messages submitted show signs of digital manipulation. We've had 2 forensic experts examine them. She submitted the reports. The judge read them. Her frown deepened. This restraining order is dismissed immediately. Mr. and Mrs. Wells, filing false reports to the court is a serious offense. Consider this a warning. My father's face went red. My mother grabbed his arm. We walked out of the courtroom. My parents tried to leave quickly, but reporters were waiting outside. Sloan, Rivera, and 3 others. Mr. Wells, why did you sell your daughter's home? My father put his hand up to block the camera. No comment. Mrs. Wells, do you feel any remorse? My mother actually turned to the cameras. Our daughter is trying to destroy us. We did nothing wrong. I watched from the courthouse steps, watched them scramble to their car while reporters shouted questions. They looked small, pathetic. The deposition started 2 weeks later. This was the part I'd been waiting for. The part where they had to answer questions under oath. My parents hired a new lawyer after 3 others refused the case. This one, a guy named Dennis Kraft, looked miserable from day one. We sat in a conference room. Me, Jules, my parents, Bethany, Dennis, a court reporter. The air was thick with tension. Jules started with my father. Mr. Wells, did you have your daughter's permission to sell her property? We had power of attorney. That wasn't the question. Did she explicitly give you permission to sell her home? She left us the keys. To stay there. Not to sell it. Yes or no? Did she give permission? Long pause. No. Did you forge her signature on the sale documents? I don't know what you mean. Jules slid a document across. This is your daughter's actual signature from her driver's license. This is the signature on the sale documents. A handwriting expert will testify they're different. Did you forge this signature? My father looked at Dennis. Dennis looked sick. I want to invoke my Fifth Amendment right. This is a civil deposition, Mr. Wells. You can't invoke the Fifth Amendment to avoid answering. Back and forth. Jules was relentless. By the end, my father had basically admitted they forged the power of attorney, forged my signature, and sold my home without permission. My mother was next. She tried to play the victim. We were desperate. Bethany was in danger. So you committed fraud. We did what parents do. We protected our child. By stealing from your other child. Cassidy was always fine. She didn't need us. Did you ever ask yourself why she didn't need you? Maybe because you never gave her any reason to. My mother's face twisted. Don't psychoanalyze me. You don't know our family. I know you called your daughter a homeless person when she confronted you about stealing her home. That was taken out of context. Jules played the recording. My mother's voice, clear and cold. Stop being so dramatic, acting like some homeless person begging for scraps. The court reporter's fingers paused on her stenograph. Even she looked shocked. Then came Bethany. She was terrified, hands shaking. She'd been granted limited immunity in exchange for testimony. Did you know your parents were planning to sell Cassidy's penthouse? Not at first. When did you find out? A week before they did it. They told me they found a way to get the money for my debts. Did you try to stop them? Bethany started crying. I should have. I know I should have. But I was desperate. Those people were going to hurt me. So you let your parents commit fraud to save yourself. I'm so messed up. I have a problem. I need help. You needed help before you destroyed your sister's life. Before your parents went to prison. Prison. Bethany's eyes went wide. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? Then came the bombshell. Bethany, crying, trying to save herself, dropped the nuke. Mom and Dad made me say Cassidy abused me when we were kids. They told me to say she hit me, locked me in closets, stuff like that, to make her look bad in court. Jules went still. You fabricated abuse allegations. They said it would help. That judges are more sympathetic if they think she's violent. And was your sister ever violent toward you? No, never. She was actually really nice to me. She used to protect me from bullies in school. But Mom and Dad said I had to say it, or we'd all go to jail. Dennis Kraft looked like he wanted to die. Subordination of perjury on top of everything else. After the depositions, Dennis pulled Jules aside. I watched through the conference room glass as he shook his head, shoulders slumped. He withdrew from the case that afternoon. Sent an email saying he couldn't in good conscience represent clients who were clearly guilty and had lied to him repeatedly. My parents tried to find new representation. Nobody would take the case. The depositions were too damning. No lawyer wants to walk into court knowing they'll lose. Meanwhile, the news story exploded. National coverage now. Good Morning America did a segment. The Today Show invited me on. TikTokers made videos about it. Reddit threads dissected every detail. Public opinion was unanimous. My parents were monsters. Bethany was a selfish addict. I was a victim who'd fought back. My old company did what they promised. Posted a statement on social media. We stand with Cassidy Wells. We made a mistake in not supporting her initially. She's an incredible employee and person. We're lucky to have her back. Thousands of likes. Comments supporting me. I went back to work the following Monday. My coworkers gave me a standing ovation when I walked into the office. My boss pulled me aside. Senior VP. Corner office. 25% raise. Not 20. You've earned it. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Strong, capable, in control. My parents' house went into foreclosure. The bank seized it. They moved into a one-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. Karma tastes like justice, and justice tastes sweet. The criminal trial started on a gray Monday in February, almost a year after my life had been destroyed. The prosecution was led by an assistant district attorney named Monica Reeves. She was in her 40s, sharp as broken glass, and she hated family fraud cases. This is one of the worst I've seen, she told me before the trial started. The premeditation. The cruelty. We're going to make sure they pay. The jury selection took 2 days. 12 people, 7 women, 5 men. Mix of ages and backgrounds. All of them looked at my parents with suspicion from the start. Opening statements. Monica laid out the case methodically. The timeline. The forged documents. The fake power of attorney. The sale. The money trail showing Bethany's debts being paid off. This wasn't a family dispute, Monica said, standing in front of the jury. This was calculated theft. A daughter worked her entire adult life to buy her dream home. Her parents pretended to reconcile with her, gained her trust, waited until she left the country, and stole everything. Then they called her a homeless person when she dared to complain. My parents' lawyer, their fourth one, was a public defender named Travis Green. He looked exhausted before the trial even started. My clients made poor decisions, he said, in his opening statement. They were trying to save their daughter from dangerous criminals. They went about it the wrong way. But this wasn't malicious. This was desperation. The jury didn't look convinced. The prosecution presented evidence for 3 days. Documents, expert testimony, the forensic analysis of the forged signatures. The notary who'd been paid $5,000 to backdate a seal. Marcus testified, told the jury about the security footage, about my parents meeting with the shady lawyer, about how pleased they looked. They weren't stressed or reluctant, Marcus said. They looked like they were celebrating. Harper testified about Bethany's finances, showed how the money from my penthouse had gone directly to paying off loan sharks, and how Bethany had immediately started gambling again. She lost $60,000 in 2 weeks after the debts were paid, Harper said. The money didn't solve her problems. It fed her addiction, Delilah testified. Played the recordings Shed made. My parents' voices discussing their plan. My mother, on the recording. Cassidy thinks she's so smart. She has no idea what's coming. My father. We deserve this. We raised her. Everything she has, she owes to us. The jury looked disgusted. Then I took the stand. I'd practiced this with Monica a dozen times. Stay calm. Be factual. Don't get emotional. But standing there, with my parents staring at me from the defense table, all the preparation went out the window. Monica asked me to describe my relationship with my family growing up. I told the truth. All of it. How I was always second to Bethany. How I worked from age 15 while Bethany got everything handed to her. How I put myself through college. How I built my career through brutal hours and sacrifice. I bought that penthouse with money I earned myself, I said. My voice cracked. Every dollar of the down payment came from years of saving. I lived like I was poor even when I wasn't because I wanted that place so badly. It represented everything I'd overcome, everything I'd achieved. And how did it feel when you discovered your parents had sold it? Like I'd been erased. Like nothing I did mattered. Like 20 years of work meant nothing because my family could just take it away whenever they wanted. The jury was listening intently. One woman in the front row had tears in her eyes. Did your parents ever apologize? No. They said I owed them. That giving them my home was the least I could do. Monica showed the jury the photo Bethany had posted. The one where she was at an expensive restaurant, caption about being blessed. This was taken 3 days after your home was sold. That's your sister spending money from the sale of your property. How did that make you feel? Like she was celebrating my destruction. Cross-examination was brief. Travis tried to make me look vindictive. Isn't it true you refused to help your sister when she was in danger? I offered to pay for rehab. I offered real help. Not money that would enable her addiction. But you knew she owed dangerous people money. I knew she had a gambling problem that would never get better if people kept bailing her out. He switched tactics. You make a good salary, don't you? 6 figures. Yes. So you could have afforded to help. I worked for that money. It wasn't my responsibility to fix problems my sister created. But family helps family. I looked at the jury. Family doesn't steal your home and call you a homeless person. Travis had no response to that. Character witnesses testified on my behalf. My college professors, co-workers, my old neighbor from my first apartment in New York. They all said the same thing. hardworking, honest, kind, reliable. The defense had no character witnesses. Nobody would speak on my parents' behalf. Bethany took the stand. She had already pled guilty to conspiracy, in exchange for a lighter sentence. Now, she was trying to save herself. She cried through her entire testimony, admitted everything. The gambling, manipulating our parents, knowing about the plan to sell my home. I was selfish, she sobbed. I destroyed my sister's life to save myself. I deserve to go to prison. Monica was brutal with her. You're only sorry now because you got caught, correct? No, I feel terrible. But you posted photos on social media celebrating with money from your sister's stolen home, didn't you? I was in denial. I wasn't thinking right. You were thinking clearly enough to spend $60,000 gambling 2 weeks after the sale. Bethany just cried. My parents didn't testify. Travis advised against it. They'd already perjured themselves in depositions. Taking the stand would only make it worse. Closing arguments. Monica was powerful. She recapped everything. The premeditation. The forgery. The betrayal. She held up a photo of my penthouse. Cassidy Wells worked 20-hour days to afford this home. She saved for 7 years. And in 10 days, while she was out of the country closing a business deal, her parents stole it. They forged her signature. They sold it. They took the money. And when she confronted them, they mocked her. She played the recording again. My mother's voice. Stop acting like some homeless person. That's what they think of their daughter. The child they raised. The woman who succeeded despite them, not because of them. They think she's trash for daring to want something they didn't give her permission to have. Monica looked at the jury. They need to pay for what they did. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. It felt like 6 years. When they came back, the forewoman stood. She was the woman who'd cried during my testimony. In the case of the People versus Richard Wells, Count 1, fraud. How do you find? Guilty. Count 2, forgery. Guilty. Count 3, identity theft. Guilty. Count 4, grand larceny. Guilty. All counts. Guilty on everything. My mother started crying. My father sat stone-faced. Bethany, at a separate sentencing hearing, got 18 months in prison and 5 years probation. Mandatory gambling addiction treatment. No internet access for 2 years. My father got 3 years in state prison. My mother got 2 years plus probation. The civil judgment was even better. $2.8 million in damages. The full value of my penthouse. Plus emotional distress. Plus punitive damages. Plus legal fees. My parents had to liquidate everything. Their retirement accounts. Their car. Everything they owned went to paying me back. And whatever they earned for the rest of their lives? Garnished wages. They'd be paying me until the day they died. I stood outside the courthouse after the sentencing. Reporters everywhere. Cameras flashing. Sloan Rivera asked me how I felt. Exhausted. I said honestly, but relieved. Justice was served. Do you forgive your parents? I thought about it. I don't know if I'll ever forgive them, but I also don't need to. They made their choices. Now they're living with the consequences. As my parents were led away in handcuffs, my mother turned and looked at me. You destroyed your family, she said. I looked right back at her. No. You destroyed it years ago. I just made sure you faced consequences for once. My Aunt Margaret called me that night. I'm so proud of you, she said. Not many people would have fought like you did. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You chose to stand up for yourself. That takes courage. I realized she was right. For years, I'd let my family treat me like I was disposable. Like I didn't matter. Not anymore. I mattered. My hard work mattered. My pain mattered. And finally, the world agreed. 6 months after the trial ended, I bought a new place. Not a penthouse this time. A 2-bedroom condo in Brooklyn with a view of the East River. It was smaller than the place I'd lost. Less prestigious. But it was mine. Truly mine. Protected by legal documents Fort Knox would envy. Security cameras. locks that could survive a nuclear blast. Nobody was ever taking this from me again. The settlement money had come through. All $2.8 million. After paying off remaining legal fees and taxes, I had enough to buy the condo outright, no mortgage. The freedom of owning something free and clear? That feeling was worth everything. I decorated it myself. Not trying to impress anyone. Just making it feel like home. Photos on the walls, but not a single one included my biological family. Pictures of Jules and me at happy hour. Harper and her kids at a baseball game. Marcus and his wife at a barbecue I'd hosted last month. My real family. I'd started therapy 2 months after the trial. My therapist, Dr. Chen, was patient with me. Helped me work through the layers of betrayal and abandonment. You spent your whole life seeking their approval, she said in one session. Trying to prove you were worthy of love. I know. But you were always worthy. They were the ones who were incapable of seeing it. That hit different. I'd spent 32 years believing something was wrong with me. That I wasn't lovable enough. Wasn't good enough. That's why they chose Bethany over and over. But it wasn't me. It was them. They were broken, not me. I'd been dating someone for 3 months. His name was Graham, and I'd met him through work. He was a client, technically, but after the deal closed, Head asked me to dinner. I'd said no at first. Didn't trust anyone. Didn't want to let someone in who could hurt me. But he was persistent in a gentle way. Just coffee, Head said. No pressure. Just 2 people talking. 1 coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into regular dates. Head listened to my whole story without running away. You fought back, Head said. You stood up for yourself against people who should have protected you. That's incredible. Graham was kind, patient, understood when I had bad days, when trust issues flared up, when I needed space. We took things slow. I wasn't ready to rush into anything, but having someone who actually cared about me, who didn't want something from me, that was healing in itself. Jules had become one of my closest friends. We got drinks every Thursday. Shed started taking on more family fraud cases, inspired by my case going viral. You changed my practice, she told me over margaritas one night. I've had 12 new clients reach out because they saw your story. People who thought they had no options. That's good. It's more than good. You helped people by being brave enough to go public. I'd started speaking publicly about financial abuse, did a TEDx talk, wrote articles for legal journals and women's finance websites. Started a nonprofit helping adult children of narcissistic parents navigate legal battles. The organization was called Second Chances Legal Fund. We raised money to help people afford lawyers for family fraud cases. So far, WED helped 17 people. Bethany wrote me letters from prison. At first, they were manipulative, playing victim, blaming me for her situation. I threw those away without responding. But after about 3 months, the tone changed. The letters got honest, raw. I destroyed your life because I couldn't face my own failures. I was jealous of you. I always was. You were successful and strong, and I was a mess. Instead of dealing with my problems, I let Mom and Dad enable me. I let them hurt you to help me. I'm so sorry. I still didn't respond. Wasn't ready. Maybe would never be ready. And that was okay. Forgiveness isn't required for healing. My parents never apologized. My father wrote one letter from prison. It was full of justifications. How they'd given me life. How I owed them. How I'd turned my back on family. I sent it back unopened. My mother wrote nothing. Probably still thought she'd done nothing wrong. I cut off my entire extended family except Aunt Margaret. Cousins, aunts, uncles who'd taken my parents' side or stayed silent. I didn't need people in my life who couldn't recognize abuse when they saw it. Aunt Margaret came to visit last month. Stayed in my guest room. We cooked together, walked around Brooklyn, talked for hours. Your father was always selfish, she told me one night over wine. Even as a kid, everything was about him. I'm not surprised he raised Bethany to be the same way. Why didn't you say something? I tried. Years ago. He stopped talking to me for 5 years because I called him out for favoring Bethany. I gave up. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. I should have been there for you more. You're here now, that's what matters. Work was going well. Better than well. I'd gotten 2 more promotions. Was now executive vice president. Made more money than I knew what to do with. Maxed out my 401k. Invested aggressively. Built wealth not for status, but for security. Nobody could ever make me vulnerable again. Last week, I hosted a dinner party. Small thing. Just 8 people. Jules and her partner. Harper and her husband. Marcus and his wife. Graham. Aunt Margaret. We sat around my dining room table eating takeout Thai food and drinking wine. Marcus told embarrassing stories about his teenage kids. Harper's husband did a terrible impression of their boss. Jules argued with her partner about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Normal. Easy. Light. Graham held my hand under the table. Squeezed gently. I looked around at these people. My chosen family. People who showed up for me. Who celebrated my wins. Who held me up when I was falling apart. This was what family was supposed to be. At the end of the night, after everyone left, I stood in my living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows, showing the city lights. Not Central Park, but beautiful in its own way. I thought about the penthouse I'd lost. How much it had meant to me. How destroyed it'd been when it was stolen. But if that hadn't happened, I'd still be trying to win my parents' approval. I'd still be sending money to Bethany every time she called. I'd still be setting myself on fire to keep them warm. Losing everything forced me to see them clearly. To stand up for myself. To build a life based on real love. Not obligation. I didn't have a penthouse anymore. But I had something better. I had peace. I had real relationships. I had self-respect. I'd spent so long trying to prove I was worthy of love. Turns out, I was always worthy. They were the ones who were unworthy of me. The best revenge isn't cruelty. It's building a life so full of genuine love that their betrayal becomes just a chapter, not the whole story. They called me a homeless person. Said I was acting entitled for wanting to keep what I'd earned. But I'm not homeless. I'm home. Finally. Truly home. In a place built on honesty and respect. Surrounded by people who see my worth. And that's worth more than any penthouse ever could be. My parents are in prison. Bethany's in prison. They lost everything trying to take what wasn't theirs. I lost a penthouse but gained myself. I'd make that trade every single time. So, what do you think? Have you ever dealt with family members who took advantage of you? Have you had to cut toxic people out of your life? Even if they were family? Drop a comment and let me know your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more real-life stories about standing up for yourself and fighting back against injustice. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not alone in dealing with toxic family. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it was long, but I wanted you to understand everything that happened, how I went from rock bottom to reclaiming my life. If you're going through something similar, please know this. You deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve people in your life who build you up instead of tearing you down. Blood doesn't make family. Loyalty makes family. Love makes family. Choose your family wisely. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And never, ever let anyone make you feel like you don't deserve the life you've worked for. Until next time.